mail-order bride rejected for her size. Until a lumberjack saw her as his perfect match. Lena had always dreamed of a perfect life. A family, a home, and true love. She grew up in a small village in the countryside, where everything was simple, but not without the harshness of life. Since childhood, she had felt the lack of confidence about herself. Lena was not the slender woman that society often praised. She was a full-figured woman, with curves that sometimes made her feel unappealing. And although no one said it, Lena always sensed it. As Lena reached adulthood, she began to feel the pressure from her family and society, where appearance and body size seemed to determine whether one was worthy of love and respect. After many years of waiting, she decided to join a mail-order bride service, hoping to find a good husband who would love her for who she truly was, not just for her looks. Lena wrote letters to many men, hoping one of them would see her true value. But contrary to her hopes, most of them rejected her. Some only wanted a wife with the perfect appearance by societal standards, while others didn't think she was a good match. Lena felt hurt, but she didn't give up. She kept writing, hoping that someone would see her not just for her outward appearance, but for her true self. Finally, a letter came from a man named Jack, a lumberjack who lived in the remote north. Jack didn't talk about Lena's looks, but about the heart, resilience, and strength she expressed in each of her letters. Jack shared that he was looking for a woman who could be his companion through the hard life, not for her appearance, but for her true self. Jack lived in the wilderness, where the work was grueling and life was simple, but he had a big heart full of love. Lena, though doubtful, felt a strange connection when reading Jack's letter. She decided to meet him to see if this was the opportunity she had been waiting for. The long and exhausting journey led Lena to Jack's humble log cabin, and when she arrived, she felt like she had found the place where she truly belonged. Jack didn't just see her as a beautiful woman, he saw Lena as a potential life partner, someone with whom he could share everything in life. With the rough hands of a lumberjack, Jack cherished Lena's heart, not for her appearance but for who she truly was. They began a new journey, a life built on mutual respect and genuine love. The months spent working together in the forest, with Jack chopping wood and Lena preparing meals, made them not just a married couple but true companions. Lena realized that she didn't need to change herself to fit into any societal mold. Perfection didn't come from looks, but from the heart, from sincerity and love for each other. She realized that true love never came from what we see on the outside, but from how we perceive and value each other. The months spent with Jack taught Lena what true love was. She no longer felt rejected, and instead, she felt proud of herself. She was a full-figured, strong, and beautiful woman in her own way. And Jack, that simple lumberjack, taught her that love wasn't something that could be measured by societal standards, but a real emotion that came from the actions and moments shared together. Lena and Jack built a happy life together, not just because they loved each other, but because they had found a deep connection in their souls, a love that transcended all societal judgments. Lena no longer felt alone in this big world, for she had found someone who loved her for who she truly was. Someone who didn't care about her body size, but cared for her heart and soul. And Lena's story is a reminder that true love is never based on outward appearances. It's a profound connection between two souls, a mutual acceptance, understanding, and love regardless of everything. Anyone can find the love of their life, no matter where they are or what age they are, if they learn to accept themselves and find someone who truly loves them for who they are. A new beginning. As the seasons changed and the forest around their cabin transformed from vibrant green to hues of red and gold, Lena and Jack's love only grew stronger. Their days, although simple, were filled with moments that spoke volumes. A shared laugh, a quiet evening by the fire, or a gentle touch when the other felt weary. They worked together, side by side, in perfect harmony. Jack, with his broad shoulders and calloused hands, had never cared for Lena's appearance, but her resilience, her laughter, and her unwavering love had won his heart completely. Lena had never felt so seen, so appreciated. For the first time in her life, she was with someone who didn't judge her for the way she looked. Instead, Jack saw her for the woman she was on the inside, kind, strong, and full of heart. The insecurities that had once weighed her down melted away with each passing day in Jack's company. And in return, Lena began to notice things about Jack that she hadn't seen before. His gruff exterior was softened by his quiet kindness. His ruggedness was complemented by a tenderness she never expected from a man of his stature. Jack wasn't just her husband. He was her partner in every sense of the word. They shared their dreams, their hopes, and even their fears. They built not just a life together, but a future they both believed in. Overcoming doubts. Despite their newfound happiness, Lena occasionally found herself overwhelmed by doubts. She had grown up in a world that constantly told her she wasn't good enough, not thin enough, not pretty enough. Even though Jack made her feel loved and cherished, there were times when she doubted her worth. Would she always be enough for him? What if he eventually saw her the way others had, as someone who didn't fit society's standards of beauty? But Jack always knew how to ease her mind. One evening, as the two sat watching the stars, he turned to her and said, "Lena, don't you see? You are exactly what I've always been looking for. Not because of how you look, but because of who you are. Your strength, your heart, the way you love me. Those are the things that matter." His words were like a balm to her soul. She realized then that her worth was not defined by anyone else's expectations, but by her own sense of self and the love she gave and received. With Jack by her side, Lena started to feel a deep sense of peace. She wasn't defined by her size or her appearance. She was defined by her love, her resilience, and the happiness she had built with Jack. Embracing the future. As the years went by, Lena and Jack continued to grow stronger together. They built a life that reflected their shared values: love, respect, and acceptance. They didn't have much, but what they had was real and meaningful. They helped each other through tough times, celebrated each other's victories, and found joy in the simplicity of life. Lena no longer needed to prove herself to anyone, not even to herself. She had found the love of her life, not because of how she looked, but because of who she was on the inside. She had found someone who loved her through her flaws and imperfections, and together, they had created a love story that was uniquely theirs. A message of hope. Lena's journey is a powerful reminder that love is not about meeting some arbitrary standard of beauty or perfection. It's about finding someone who sees you for who you truly are, and loving you for all that you bring to the table. It's about accepting yourself, flaws and all, and understanding that your worth is not defined by your appearance, but by the love you give and receive. If Lena's story teaches us anything, it's that the right love will never judge you by your size, shape, or the way you look. The right love will see your heart, your spirit, and the strength you carry within. It will accept you as you are and help you become the best version of yourself, no matter where life takes you. In the end, Lena found her happiness not by changing who she was, but by embracing the woman she had always been. And she found a man who loved her not for her size, but for the size of her heart. And that, in the end, is the greatest love story of all. Part 1. A life of simple joys. As the years passed, the rhythm of their life in the woods grew familiar and comforting. The little cabin that once seemed so cold and empty was now warm with laughter, filled with the smell of freshly baked bread and the crackle of the fire. Lena and Jack had turned the land around their home into a small garden where they grew vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The act of planting and tending to the earth brought them closer together, a silent promise that no matter how harsh the winter or how difficult the challenges, they would weather it all together. Jack would often disappear into the forest, coming back with firewood or a bounty of wild mushrooms and berries. Lena would prepare the meals, sometimes humming a tune from her childhood, and other times lost in thought as she kneaded the dough. Even in silence, they were content in each other's company. Their world was small, but it was everything they needed. They had no need for the distractions of the modern world. Their connection, rooted in love and mutual respect, was enough. On Sundays, they would go to the nearby town, where Lena would visit the small market to chat with the local women and gather any supplies they couldn't grow or make themselves. Jack would talk to the other men about farming, lumber, and the changes in the seasons, his voice always calm and steady, a reassuring presence in any conversation. Though Lena had once feared she was too much for anyone, too loud, too big, too unrefined, she now knew that she was just the right size for Jack. She didn't have to change. She just had to be herself. And with that, she had built a life, a family, and a love that was far more meaningful than anything she had ever dreamed of in her youth. Part 2. A test of strength. But not every day was easy. There were moments when life tested their resilience. One harsh winter, the snow came down in thick, blinding sheets, covering the road to town and trapping them in their cabin for weeks. The isolation, combined with the scarcity of food, brought a sense of uncertainty that neither Lena nor Jack had ever experienced. The firewood was running low, and there was little to eat except what they had stored away in the cellar. It was during these trying times that their love truly proved its strength. When Lena saw Jack cutting firewood with his hands frozen stiff and his face pale, she knew she had to step up in ways she had never done before. She donned her thick woolen cloak and braved the storm to forage for food, despite the wind and snow trying to knock her off her feet. Jack, for his part, worked tirelessly to keep the fire burning, melting snow for water and preserving the warmth of the cabin. One evening, as they sat together by the fire, sharing the last of the canned goods they had stored, Lena realized just how much they had both grown. They had learned to depend on each other in ways they never had before. It was no longer about individual strength, but the strength they shared as a couple. Their bond had become unbreakable, a testament to the power of love, resilience, and partnership. Part 3. The joy of giving back. As the years went on, and their life settled into a peaceful routine, Lena and Jack began to think about giving back to the community that had helped them when they first arrived. They were no longer just surviving, they were living. And with that sense of abundance came the desire to share their good fortune with others. They began to take part in local charity events, donating the produce from their garden and homemade goods. Jack would offer his woodworking skills to help build or repair things for neighbors in need, and Lena would help organize bake sales and craft fairs, using her creativity to bring the town together. The couple's generosity was reciprocated in countless ways, whether it was with a warm meal from a neighbor or a kind word of encouragement. Through their acts of service, Lena and Jack not only contributed to the welfare of the community, but also found even deeper satisfaction in their relationship. The act of giving became a shared passion, a way to express their gratitude for the love and support they had found, not just in each other, but in the town that had become their home. What had started as a seemingly unlikely marriage between a mail-order bride and a rugged lumberjack had transformed into a story of profound love and mutual respect. They had created a life together, built on simple joys, challenges overcome, and the beauty of helping others. Their love, once fragile and uncertain, had grown stronger with each passing year. Part 2. Strength in Adversity. As time passed, Lena and Jack faced their first major test as a couple. That winter was one of the harshest anyone could remember in their small town. The winds howled and the snow piled up against the windows, blocking the path to the nearest town. The once bustling town seemed far away, and the isolation grew heavier with each passing day. Jack had been accustomed to the severe conditions of the forest, but even his seasoned skills were tested by the unrelenting storm. There was a constant pressure to keep the fire burning, to chop enough wood, to gather enough water from the frozen stream. But Jack didn't complain, and neither did Lena. Instead, they found solace in each other's presence. They would sit together by the fire, talking quietly, or sometimes just enjoying the quiet sounds of the storm. Lena, though often a source of joy and strength, found herself feeling helpless in this moment of adversity. She was used to being a source of support for others, but now she had to trust Jack's strength and resilience. In those silent moments when she looked into his tired eyes, she realized that she too had grown stronger in ways she hadn't fully understood. She had learned that sometimes strength wasn't about doing everything alone, but about standing together, no matter the storm outside. After weeks of snowstorms, the town finally sent help. A convoy of trucks with supplies and people ready to clear the paths. It was a bittersweet moment for the couple. Though they were grateful for the help, the experience had changed them both. They had faced their first true challenge together, and it had only deepened their bond. They were no longer just husband and wife, but partners in the truest sense of the word. Part 3. The Healing Power of Love. The following spring brought with it new hope and new growth. The wildflowers bloomed in patches of bright color across the meadow, and the trees that had once been barren now swayed gently in the warm breeze. As Lena and Jack worked side by side to repair the damage caused by the winter storms, something shifted. The work was hard, yes, but it felt different now. There was an understanding between them, a sense of mutual respect that had deepened through the trials they'd endured. Jack, always the strong, silent type, began to open up more. He shared stories of his childhood, his dreams for the future, and even his fears. He had always been a man of action, but now he learned the power of vulnerability, of sharing the parts of himself that he had once kept hidden. And Lena, too, grew more confident, finding her place in this life with Jack. She no longer felt like an outsider, someone who had come from a different world to find a place in a small, secluded town. She was home, in every sense of the word. Together, they began to understand that their love wasn't just a connection born out of necessity or circumstance. It was a love that could heal wounds, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual. They had built a life together on the foundation of love, trust, and understanding. And with each new day, they were finding new ways to cherish one another, to nurture that bond that had once seemed so fragile, but now felt unbreakable. Part 4. Giving back to the community. As the seasons passed and life settled into a rhythm, Lena and Jack started to think about what they could do for the community that had welcomed them so warmly. They had received so much from the town: kindness, support, and friendship. It was time for them to give back. Jack, always one to lend a hand, began offering his skills as a carpenter and builder. He built fences, repaired barns, and even crafted furniture for people in need. His reputation as a reliable and hard-working man spread far and wide. People came from other towns, seeking his craftsmanship, and Jack would always do his best to help, no matter the size of the job. Lena, with her natural creativity, started organizing community events. She set up monthly gatherings at the town hall, where people could come together to share stories, food, and laughter. She helped organize fundraisers for local causes, from food banks to healthcare programs for the elderly. Her generosity, paired with Jack's craftsmanship, made them pillars of the community. Through their work, they forged even deeper connections with the people around them. They realized that their love for each other was powerful, not just for their own relationship, but for the wider community. By offering their time, skills, and hearts, they were helping to create a town built on love and support. A place where no one felt alone. Part 5. A future together. As the years went on, Lena and Jack grew older, but their bond only strengthened. Their love had evolved from a passionate early romance into something deeper, more enduring. They had built a life based on shared experiences, mutual respect, and a love that transcended the hardships they had faced. There was a deep satisfaction in knowing that they had created something lasting. A home, a community, and a love that would stand the test of time. They had found joy in the small things, the simple act of sitting together on the porch at sunset, the shared laughter over a meal, the quiet moments when words were unnecessary. They knew that their journey together wasn't over. There were still new adventures to be had, new challenges to face. They would continue to help one another grow, continuing their work in the community, and growing old together in the place they had made home. In the end, Lena and Jack's story was one of love, resilience, and giving. Their lives were a testament to the power of partnership and the transformative power of love. Together, they had overcome adversity, healed wounds, and created a life filled with purpose. It was a story that would live on in the hearts of those who had witnessed their love. A story that would be passed down through generations as a reminder that no matter where you start, the love you build and the life you create can change the world. Part 6. The Legacy. They built. As the seasons turned, the years began to add up, and Lena and Jack found themselves reflecting on all that they had achieved together. They had grown older, but their love for one another was still as strong as it had ever been. They had built something far more significant than just a home and a place in the community. They had created a legacy. Their legacy wasn't about wealth or grand achievements. It was about the relationships they had nurtured, the lives they had touched, and the strength they had shown during difficult times. They had taught the community about resilience,
love, and the power of support, not just in good times, but especially during the hardest of moments. Their actions had inspired others, proving that no matter your background, your size, or your past, everyone has the capacity to create a life filled with love, purpose, and meaning. Lena and Jack didn't see themselves as extraordinary people. They simply did what they could, with the resources they had, to make a difference.
But to the people who knew them, they were heroes. They had shown that true beauty isn't about appearances or societal expectations, but about kindness, strength, and the ability to lift others up. Part 7. Embracing the future with open hearts. One quiet evening, as the sun set behind the distant hills, Jack and Lena sat on their porch, hand in hand. They had spent the day working together, enjoying the small, peaceful tasks that had become part of their daily routine. The weight of the years hadn't made them tired or weary. Instead, it had brought a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built. They looked out at the farm, the little town they loved, and the family they had come to cherish. They knew their time together wouldn't last forever, as time marches on for everyone. But they had no regrets. They had lived a life that mattered, one full of love, kindness, and shared experiences. Their hearts were full of peace, knowing that they had found what they had always been searching for, a love that would endure beyond the confines of their physical bodies, living on in the hearts of those who carried their story. As the night descended, with the stars lighting up the sky, Jack and Lena shared a quiet kiss. It was a kiss that spoke of everything they had built, everything they had overcome, and everything they still had to offer. Their love wasn't bound by age or time. It was eternal. The final chapter of their journey would come, as it does for all of us. But Jack and Lena knew that they had left something behind far greater than any material possession. They had left a legacy of love, resilience, and the belief that no matter who you are or where you come from, you are worthy of love, and you are capable of building something beautiful. And so, they continued to live, in love, in peace, and with hearts open to whatever the future might bring. Together, they had become not just a couple, but a symbol of what true love can achieve, no matter the circumstances. And their love would continue to inspire generations to come, reminding everyone that sometimes, the greatest love stories are the ones that start in the most unexpected places. The end.